I'd like to extend my sympathies to the family and friends of bull rider Nathan Lowe, who passed away from his injuries last night, which is why just my hearts and prayers go out to everyone, including the grief I feel in myself. So, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you. Thank you for watching. Welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Corps, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor. Now, if you never want to instruct, but you really want a good point of view, or at least that's my number 2, isn't it? MMP is new, different, and unique. I think my biggest challenge in helping you understand what I'm making the effort to communicate and as long as I'm helping clarify, the point of view, then whatever else you, and there comes like number 3, whatever else you learn or expand upon becomes more. So that's my number 3, make new friends and keep the old ones. Well, I know you've been an instructor for years, and I know you've gone through more than one training program, and I know that you've done some studies in biomechanics. Great, good, good. What I think is at issue, or comes to issue here, is the presumption that someone already understands what you're saying has more to it than what they already understand it to be. And, I don't know how to do that, other than by always coming back to all I know is this one point of view. And if I can help you understand clearly that point of view, then I don't see how it can at least supplement whatever else you want to make out Pilates, unless you want it to keep it a subjective, unknowable, and ineffable quality that can never be explained or defined. Much of the culture, maybe even most of the culture, loves it that way. One reason might be that it allows the purveyor of the information to matter more than the information itself, because the information is only what you make of it. If it's unknowable and unreachable and mysterious and unexplainable, it's beyond science. How's that? I say, okay, but all of that has nothing to do with the MMP point of view that considers what we know about biology and physics, that realm of science, and as an instructor acts within that realm of science to pursue Joe's definition is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. That's what contrology is. Well, okay, that's Joe's definition. What do you make of that, or what do you think that means? There are 10,000 1,000 views of what that means, because each of us builds our own simulation in our mind's eye of what it's like out there in what might be called reality. At least real enough to the point that you can either survive in it or not survive in it. And that life can't live forever. From me to you, I ask you to consider the advantages of not, consider the outcome of staying attached to an undescribable, unknowable, intuitive, inexplicable, mysterious, only the wise ones or some undesignated authority. That will always be part of the Pilates culture. But if you want to survive as a Pilates instructor, I encourage you to be aware of MMP, its point of view, and in that, I say in my title, MMP is new, different, unique. Well, it's new, but it's based on the old. See? It's new, but it's based on Joe's book. That's all you need to get to the point of view is Joe's book. And so that's new instead of the pervasive perception of Pilates as something that is handed down by tradition through word of mouth from personal exposure to the originator of the method. That's one point of view, and we're all wrapped up and woven into that point of view. But when you identify your lineage or your lineages that you're familiar with, and the cross strings of, say, biomechanical instruction, all of that is part of the thread of who you are within the fabric of the Pilates culture. And if that's the only thing that matters to you is whatever you're improvising based on a generalized, subjectivized, mystified, bunch of artifacts in the attic as having the truth. The truth is already out there. And we've talked about that a lot in the past, and I'm not going to go there now again. The three, make new friends and keep the old ones, that's the third title, I brought it up already, is a matter of letting go of everything you've been taught as justification to reject learning anything new, of going beyond what you already know. And for the dancer in you, you say you're a dancer. And just evidence from your, see, it all depends on how you define dancer, right? But as a dancer, in that culture appropriates Pilates in a lot of ways in the physical manifestation of the movement itself, and in the presumption of a structure of lineage and authority based on who you worked with and when. That whole tapestry thing. When if you can dance like Nureyev, as an example, it didn't matter who he worked with or all of it mattered to the moment. But in the moment of the dancing, it is his embodiment of his expression of movement that is his alone. I think surviving as a Pilates instructor will become more and more difficult as Pilates is ubiquitous, meaning it's everywhere, and everybody teaches it and does it, and it's all coming from the same point of view of lineage and heritage and make-believe Pilates, my opinion about make-believe Pilates. Pilates is the mat work. Pilates is choreography. That is the poem. That is the dance. That is the expression. And to the extent that you embrace the expression, it defines itself by its ideal nature that dance does or doesn't express, because it's more art and dance to me than Pilates, which is science, it's fact, it's physics. See, and that's where you don't want to go. You want to hold Pilates in a perception like dance, that it's this heritage of lineage from the master, from the creator, and it's me that takes part in the divine transference of a communal community wisdom that you can't explain, and that in explaining, understand why it is what it is, because that's what MMP is all about. That's why it's unique. That's why it's unique. MMP is unique. It says, here's a look at Pilates from an ideal point of view. And oh, by the way, it points to an experience taking Joe's definition literally. What does that mean, Joe's definition literally? That contrology is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. And so right after that I say, so when is that supposed to happen? See, if you're in this world of presumption that you never get there, and you're never good enough, and there's always somebody better, and you're into the worship above to be worshipped from below, or idolized, however you wish to say that, all I hope that you can do is make a distinguishment between presumed points of view and science. See, science. It's bad news, I'm sorry, but that special place that seems inexplicable is, but in terms of what the ingredients are and how you coordinate them into the experience, that's the mystery and the majesty and the terror and the fright and the thrill of being in that corrective feedback loop with your student, with your class, with your tribe, with your studio, with your company, with your union, with your insurance company. And when it comes, okay, one other comment. When it comes to saying no, not that, and no, not that, and no, not that, and I'm more this because I think this is the way the Creator would have wanted it to be, see? That's taking on a mission and an embrace of a cultish attitude toward the subject. And there will always be, an expression of cultism within Pilates, because that's a small set of humanity, and that's human nature, right? But if you're willing to actually learn beyond what you presume you already know, see, then the disadvantage is you lose the world of of self-indulgence, of self-interpretation, because there hasn't been one yet until now, because I, Michael Miller, identified the ideal within the method. Now, you can say bullshit, or pardon me, but who do you think that is, or who do you think you are? I don't know. I'm Michael Miller, and I came to look for an explanation of why Pilates affected me so much, and what it is, and how do I share whatever I think it is to somebody else who's trying to be a teacher, right? That's thin ice from beginning to end, and thereafter. Meaning, you go into teaching a workshop, and your whole point of view is thin ice, because no one else maybe is aware of it, or sometimes in my world no one, right? And yet it will support you to the extent that you're able to explain it. And if you'd rather not explain what Pilates is, or you want to keep it as an emotional or sentimental or an intuitive historical reenactment, there's a lot of that, and it's fabulous, and it's wonderful, and it really puts the instructor in center stage, and rarely does this. And you know what that is, right? That's pulling the curtain back, introducing the student to their capacities, their capacity to coordinate their capacities. I like that. Their capacity to, no, was it redundant? What are their capacities? Being, thinking, and observing. And that is the trick, or at least not the trick, but that is the transcendence, knowing that observing doesn't fit inside of knowing. That thinking is different than observing. And it's easy to just say, in the mind, it's prefrontal cortex for thinking, and amygdala, hippocampal areas for sensing, right? Observing. But something happens where you actually observe what you sense, and in so doing, accomplish the corrective feedback loop within yourself as a student or as a performer, because you're free to reach for a feeling that you know is there, and the looser you get in your body and the more sophisticated your musculature gets, the more you have the imagery and the understanding of core tension in your body. It does nothing but give you more confirmation as to how to hit the target that you're after within MMP. It doesn't matter what your lineage is, or how many years you've been doing it, or what kind of cross-training you've had. That doesn't matter in the light of what it is in and of itself. And your willingness, or flat-out denial, rejection, that Pilates has any essence of its own, or that it can be understood. You and me and a few others will always be the few that find some sense of focus through the lens. And so I think number 4, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, because before I wrote to you, I'm trying to sell you on a point of view. But really I'm not. I'm just stating a point of view. And that's important because it's like the view is out there. And it's up to you whether or not you want to understand this point of view or not, regardless of whatever else other training you've got, whatever else you know. It's not up to me to fit in what I know into what you know. It's up to you to fit in what I know into what you know. You're the final product. You're the instructor standing before the student. And I'm sure you know lots of stuff that I don't know about Pilates, whatever that means, whatever the word means, whatever the training means. Your presumption that you know something or anything. Okay, great. Do you know about CT and MMP? No, well then, if you're not absolutely convinced or want Pilates to be in this make-believe world of subjective improv, what was my title yesterday? On especially one continent, I'm seeing the duplication of the presumption of aristocratic preeminence. I think it was a better word than that. But the assumed authority and just aristocracy and where you learn from. And here's what I'm trying to make a point is that in this whole pressure of everybody learning Pilates and it becoming nothing, one of the things to make distinction on is understanding the ideal within it. Whether you want to act on that or not, just understanding it in some way has to influence, right? Pilates is what it is, and it will continue being what it is throughout generations, right? And throughout improvisations. And it will inspire 10,000 more points of view about it. MMP is a point of view that's ideal in nature based on Joe's book. CT is biomechanics. It's not even, I mean, it's a bigger picture. See, two things, right? I say this over and over. Farrah came by and watched yesterday. I said, I have two things for your birthday because it was his birthday. I said, I've got core nutension, which is biomechanics. And that applies to every person. Every human being engages in or has an access to a more sophisticated expression of the core nutension in their body. And that's for yoga and martial artists and bull riders and fencers and roof workers. And the second thing is the idea we've been talking about. I'd like to extend that was my conclusion. I ended my conclusion with my start. I guess I'd want to say, like, if you're really a student, then empty your cup or let go of whatever it is you think you know about to learn something new, especially MMP and CT, because they go from contemporary, conventional, traditional, aristocratically governed to a point of view that takes its authority based on how much sense it makes, both in the mind, from the mind, in the thinking, but also in the sensation, in the feedback, in the moment that you're in. I encourage you to sell these. It's fun to give them away, but if you start right off the bat selling something, you create the relationship that what you have to sell has some substance to it. And the most important thing I can sell you or give you is this sticker. Because before Pilates ever even comes into the picture, knowing that there's a way to engage your body, to more evenly distribute the load of your body, that makes alignment sensational. And then if you want to, on the back, it's just blank right now. The one I have, it's blank. Get a stamp for your contact information. Stamp this and use it for a business card. Or use it at least, use your own business card for your own business. But share Cornu and give a person a way to come to you to find out how that feels. See? And how did I say that? How that feels. I hope to be a sensational instructor. Sensational. That you can sense it. Those that would drag it into intellectualization don't know any better or seek to just overshadow or undermine the capacity of observing that holds equal share at the table, or equal share of the three things you're trying to coordinate when you instruct Pilates. I'm so relieved that a package sent is a package received. Because you never know when tragedy strikes. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines and see behind the curtain. Make the most of what you're trying to learn. If you're learning and you're ready to learn more, don't need to bring with you what something new will, where something new will take you. I like that. You're not letting go of. Just keep the old, but let go of your need to have what's old fit into what's new. Just take what's new for what's new, and then let that fit into you. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, add two and two. Make money. I said make money. Sell those stickers. Establish an attitude. Establish a relationship. You sell them a sticker, and then they buy the sticker, and then if they pay for it, then you can explain a little bit about what it is. There's always more stickers, or just more time explaining. More income stream. Add two and two. Direct your thinking. Geist